This is a RAM tester for the testing of the nav system, and this is a simple tester just for go no go kind of testing. It can be switched on by switching on the battery, and then it'll bring up after it is done with the initial testing, it'll bring up the choices for the testing. The first choice is VOR, so let's select VOR by pressing the center button. Now this is the frequency 108 megahertz for tuning the VOR. If I select this, then the test set will be tuned to 108. The frequency of the nav on the PFD should also be selected to the same frequency that was displayed here, which is 108. The selected frequency is shown on the left. On the left in green color, so you can see 108.00 in green on the left side, which is the active frequency for the nav. Now by selecting this, we can show various radial VOR radials. So right now it is 0 degree radial. If I flip this or push this button, it'll change to another radial, so it is now 45 degree, and you can see the knob, the deviation bar, and the double pointer moving according to the selection on the test set. Now it is a different setting for 90 degree VOR from, and that's what is shown by that small arrow which shows the from flag. Now if I step through this button again, it'll change the deviation to 135 degrees from, and another push will change it to 180 degree from setting. Next push will be 225, and as I push through this button, you can see the changes on the indication of VOR. So now we have done a full circle, and that completes the VOR testing. After doing the VOR, I can go back to the menu by pressing and holding the center button for a few seconds. Now I'm back to Now I'm back to the initial selection. We have done VOR. Now I'm going to go to the next menu, which is ILS. By pushing the center button, I will select ILS, and localizer is the next first choice. I will select localizer, and now the frequency should be 108 megahertz for the nav receiver, and that can be done by doing the toggle from here to 108. Now 108.1 is the active frequency for the nav receiver. Now I'll press this button to confirm that 108.1 is the nav frequency, and the light will indicate that the selection has been made. Now the localizer is showing a 0 deviation, and the needle, the deviation bar, is in the center. If I go to the next step, it'll show the right deviation by half scale, and then the further step will be to the full right scale. And if I step to the next testing point, it'll be the tone testing, which is only for the purpose of bench testing. So I'll skip this, and now it is at full left, half left, and next one is 0 deviation. So that completes the localizer testing. I'll go back to the original menu by pressing the center button for a few seconds. Okay, we are back to the original menu. We have done VOR, so we'll go back into ILS to select the glide slope, and by pressing glide slope button, now we are in the mode where we can do the glide slope. Again, we have to select 108.1 for the nav frequency, and by pressing this button, we'll activate. Oh, sorry, it went back to. I'll go back to the initial menu because I pressed this center button for too long. So let's go back to ILS. I'll select ILS, go to next step, select glide slope, and select the 108.1 frequency that I mentioned earlier. And now we have the glide slope selected, and by moving the by pressing this button will show the moving indication of the glide slope deviation. So now it is half scale above the glide slope reference, full scale above the glide slope reference, modulation test signals, and now it is fully below the glide slope reference line and half scale below the glide slope, and now back to zero deviation in glide slope. So that completes the testing of the glide slope. I will go back to the menu by pressing the center button for a couple of seconds, and we are back to the menu. So we have done ILS localizer and glide slope. Now we'll go to next test. DME is not part of the system, so we'll skip the DME test. ADF is not part of the system, so we'll skip this step. And now we are in the transponder testing mode. By pushing the center button, we can select the transponder testing. Mode A is for the aircraft identification. So if I select this, we will be able to see the aircraft code on the test set, which means that the system is transmitting the aircraft code. So I'll press this center button again for no SLS and P2 off, and the reply is 100%, and the squelch is at the squawk is at 1200, which is the VFR code for USA. So that confirms the operation of the aircraft identification through the transponder. I'm going back to the previous menu again in order to come back to the aircraft altitude reporting mode. Back to transponder, and now I will select the mode C for altitude reporting. This is the selection of mode C. The first setting is for the purpose of testing. I'll select this, and now you will see the reported altitude, which will be, and on the screen you have to select the altitude reporting mode by pressing the soft key under Alt, and now you will be able to see what is being reported from the system to the ground station. The number here shows 00900, which is 900 feet. That's the altitude being reported from the system to the ground station. So that completes the transponder testing.